Yo, so I'm reading a book right now called Coders. I don't know what the subtitle is, but look it up, Coders, and it's basically about how coding is changing the culture and how and who these people are that are behind a lot of the major innovations in this world. Um, so the reason I'm reading it is because I'm learning to code, and I'm just trying to get a sense of what the culture is, like what's the mindset, the philosophy of coders, and you know what can I learn from them, basically. And through this, I've been also learning to code. I've been getting it deeper into just creating systems and automations. And not that I'm caught up, I just don't want to get caught up in this idea of um, wanting to just create, and doing it for the sake of the product rather than the sake of the process. So I've been mainly that, like AI has gotten me into learning to code, really. Um, it's gotten me into it because I just think about all the things that I can do, but it has also caused me to be in this place where I'm thinking about how I'm rushing, right? Like I'm rushing in terms of, oh, I want to get this code done, or like I want to hurry up, and I don't like rushing, and I feel like I'm more in this place now, which is I just want to be able to learn, right? So if I can learn, and if I'm learning every day, then eventually the things that I have, the visions, the apps, or whatever that I want to create, will just naturally come, and they'll come in a way that is in alignment with who I am. So now that I gave that, basically I'm learning a few things. It's changing my philosophy on life. It's changing my approach with life. Um, when it is, I'm referring to coding. Coding is changing my philosophy to life. It's changing my approach. Um, it, I've realized that because code can be so important, like you have to get it right. You have to be very precise. You have to be very, almost meticulous, very intentional. You also have to be very committed to creating the thing, because sometimes you're going to come up with errors and basically debugging, and you're going to have to rewrite and solve that, right? So like in the sphere of code, it's like 60% of the time coders are actually debugging, which is crazy, because, and by debugging, it's like they're not writing code, they're fixing code. Um, so to see that about 60% of the time, most coders are just debugging, they're fixing code. It makes you think also about the mindset that these individuals have, which seems to be more along the lines of refining and really making sure, because bad code is really code that is not well, there's many different requisites, right? But it should be short, it should be precise, you shouldn't be repeating yourself. It should also be, I forgot what the word they said, orthogonal, meaning that if it's orthogonal, if you change one aspect of the system, then it only affects that one small aspect rather than the whole system. So you don't want your system to be dependent on all multiple parts. You want it to be flowing in a way that the parts are not interfering with other parts, right? So, or they're not dependent. And that idea of it being orthogonal has also been very important to me, because I see it in the sense of structuring things. Because when you're creating things and you're in a hurry, you're not creating things in an orthogonal way. You're just trying to get things done, and sometimes that's good. Sometimes you need an output, but other times it doesn't come out as well. So like, I guess I can refer to like me building a team, or me creating a podcast. Like me not sitting back and thinking about who I'm going to be working with and what kind of podcast I want it to be, and what exactly it is that I'm doing. That led me to make a mistake where I started working with the wrong people, or maybe it was the right people, but just the intention wasn't set correctly. And so now I have these dependent parts where my relationship with these people is affecting my relationship with the podcast, and that is not orthogonal. I would prefer for my relationship with these people to be separate from the podcast, and because the podcast was the thing that we wanted to survive, to go. But speaking on that, right? Um, this idea of orthogonality is pushing me to think about how me approaching projects requires a little bit more commitment from me. So this idea of, if I'm a coder and I'm gonna build code, knowing that if I were to put that to the public, that it's gonna require debugging, I have to be very, very clear in how and precise in how I create it. Like, what am I creating? And and so taking more time in development, taking more time almost in planning, and just taking more time, more conscious intention of doing like deep work while I'm doing it. So um, it's actually causing me to slow down. When AI is causing me to speed up, coding is causing me to slow down, because it's also teaching me about AI, and I'm still not there yet completely, where I'm learning about how AI works and the whole technicals around that. But but I know that once I get there, I'll be learning about how the mind works. I'm gonna be mirroring that to how AI works, and then I'll be able to find some conclusions there. But um, but yeah, that's orthogonality, right? But now let's talk about another way that's changing my life. When I'm thinking about content, for example, like I would kind of just um, write things. Like when it comes to blog posts or videos, even my vlog, this vlog, I feel like I could be better about how I speak and how precise I am with my speech, instead of it just being like a random vlog. I think I do want to be more precise. It's leading me to want to just be more intentional. It's leading me to really think about who I'm talking to, and how can this be something that helps them, rather than this just be something that's for myself, just wanting to speak to the world, which is cool. I think it's cool, and I think I've found like joy out of that. But if I want to build something that's, you know, that's relevant and that's helpful and powerful, transformative, I think I should just put out less in a way, and take more time to sit and reflect with my thoughts, and then share them through video. So even like me having a conversation with AI, and parsing out what the points are that I want to speak on, and what's going on with me internally before I shoot a video, that's pretty helpful. And so it's really causing me to slow down. It really is. So I also I used to want to create blog posts, and in this age, like blog posts are kind of like dying, or that's what's being said in the business world. And I have that business interpretation, like, oh, quick, move quick. It's about sales, etc. Um, Obviously, that's not like specifically. That's not just like that's not all that encompasses business, but my approach has been more so like retention. You want to hook people. You want to make sure that they watch more of your content, etc. That kind of aspect of marketing is now being changed in my writing. Now I'm not writing so much for from that perspective. I'm writing more so from the perspective of a coder who, for example, when they're writing code, they're creating software that solves problems. When I write, when I write English, I want to create writing that also solves problems. And so I want to see my writing as software at scale, right? That's the idea. And so when I see it that way, then I start to think about, okay, even if blog posts are dying, even if AI can write quick, even if all of this happen, they still cannot write like I do, and they don't have the specific intentions that I have. Like code that is written for a specific solution, and by a specific person. It contains the person, it contains the solution, um, and yes, although like AI can write code also, that doesn't mean that it's coherent. That doesn't mean that it's going to scale in the long term. That doesn't mean that it's something that you should be reliant on. I think that AI can assist, but when it comes to my writing, for example, like I'm using AI now more as a editor, helping me. Like I'm conversating and I'm working through my thoughts, and I want to just spill everything on there, and then I want to go back and look at it to make sure that it's something that is actually helpful, that I'm being precise, that I'm not being general, that I'm not just trying to hook people and just like clickbait them, or etc. Like now I want it to be something like, okay, I know who this is for. if that person stumbles upon this video, am I giving them the best content that I can give them? And so now I'm not thinking in terms of views, I'm thinking more in terms of one person. And I think that's also just been something that I've been learning in business recently. So though that kind of connects. And then another thing is just this idea that I can automate my life, but not for the sake of a result. It's more for the sake of building structure to my flow. And so this is where I'm actually, and this is gonna change the way I perceive a lot of things. Technicality, like with coding, you have to be technical, and you can take it to an extreme where you just become super technical and you can't feel like you don't know how to express yourself in a way that's also representing your emotions or your feelings or your intuition, the things that are intangible, that are more flowy. If you become too technical, then you basically become a box. But if you are able to integrate technicality with flow, then now what you're creating is something that allows for that flow, for that energy to intensify and multiply. So with coding, I'm getting a much deeper perspective on what it means to be technical and why it is important to be technical. But I'm also integrating it with my flow. So now my flow is gonna expand because, like, with the little things, I'm getting ideas now for what I can automate, what I can solve, and it's giving me a lot of power. It's giving me a lot of confidence. But more importantly, it's giving me this perspective on technicality that I really want to appreciate, because I used to be a guy that was just about, follow your intuition, shoot, it's just like shoot, like point and shoot, run towards what you think is real, be raw, be real. But when it comes to technicality, I can be a technical person. Like I'm really good at math, I'm really good at logic. But now this is expanding my awareness where technicality in service of others, right? And the importance of how your technicality can affect the software, and then the technicality of your words can affect people, right? Like these things are going to be very important, very succinctly structured. They need to be they need to be more succinct within myself. So so that's really helping me out. And yeah, I think that's really it. Technicalities. Yeah. So I'm basically integrating more structure into my life. That's what it's leading to. So I'll be creating systems, like for finances, for my interests. Like I'm thinking about how to integrate my interests in a way that flows, where I'm not feeling like I'm just moving through motion, but I'm also contributing to a system, and that system is something that I created. So that's really where I'm moving towards, and so it's allowing me to basically be okay with pursuing various interests, not stressed out about whether I'm doing what I need to do. I'm doing what I want to do, and then I'm also, in doing that, observing my process, and then seeing how I can automate aspects of it that will allow me to continue to do more of what I want to do. So now I'm doing what I want to do, but it's more intensified. All right, so that is where I'm at. Hopefully that is helpful. I think those are the main points. How coding has changed my life, and I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that this inspires you to think about how coding can change your life. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. Stay lucid. Peace out.